Hi everybody, welcome back. We're on the second part, and what we're gonna do here is, I've already pushed in my dough. It sat a whole 24 hours. I don't know, you guys. That's more than a 12 hours. Let's see. I just want to work it a little bit more before I add in my butter. So we're actually gonna get this back activated because I feel like it definitely did not do that. It's very cold too. I'm gonna do this for like 5 minutes. Still very sticky. Very, very sticky. We got a little bit of a spring back. Something I'm sticky. I don't know why it's still so sticky. I think I added too much butter. Let that sit for 5 more minutes in the refrigerator. Show you now how I prepare my morning coffee. Not my favorite, but I do like this when it's not instant. But this is what we got, so. 3 spoons of sugar. 4 round spoons for me. Spoon's a little wet. Now, it says a round spoon, so I take a little bit out, and that's about as much as I'm gonna put in there. I love putting it to the side. I don't know why, I just do. Stir it up before we add our cream. half and half. Better than the rest of the creamers out there that have all the flavorings, all that oil compared to just regular half and half. I can do without. This is perfect for me. This is what I like to do. This is my secret. Have a weird floater in here. Okay, so here we go. This is how I get the perfect, like, creamy coffee. Stir, stir, stir. Can I add it in? It kind of gives you the color that you're looking for, or I'm looking for, really. Boom. This takes away from the amount of bitter that'll be in this particular cup since we used that full round spoon, because that's a deep flavor, full body coffee of cup. Cup of coffee. Coffee of cup. Cup of coffee. Hot. Let's give it a try, shall we? So good. So this is our butter barrage. You see that it's nice and hard. Do you think that's gonna break if I try and fold it? Let's see. Yeah, you can kind of hear it. So it's not what we need. We need a little bit more pliable. And this is still in dough form. We're gonna take this dough and we're gonna basically make it large enough for us to fold it over onto this. have to do this, like keep moving it. I only am just for the easier access of stretching. So this resistance is what you kind of want to fight against when it came to that amount of time that we had to let our dough do its thing and rise, but it's resisting us. And the problem with that is once we try and add the butter to this, it's just going to resist and kind of F with our butter inside. And on top of that, it's not going to rise because it's basically already stretching its gluten properties as we speak. It's fighting me. It's like, nah, I said what I said. Usually you will put this back, and I don't feel like it'll be a waste of time if I did, but at the same time, I feel like it'll be more of a risk factor. Like I said, we let this sit for 24 hours, which you can do, but I did not leave it in the freezer for 24 hours. I left it in the refrigerator. Because this resistance is gonna kind of like shorten that life expectancy of the yeast. We want it to last so that we can have beautifully large puff pastry. Because there ain't no pizza. Okay, so basically, essentially, you want this to fold over like that. And I think we can do that. And it's about the same density. Oh my God, I can't speak. Remember I said this was still going to be frozen? That's fine. Because it's butter, it's fairly thin. So that means once we start to work and wrap this dough around it, it's going to soften real quick. And that means once we start it, we got to start making the fold, our first fold. You just want to make sure everybody's layered and even. Now you don't want to add any rips, because remember, we want it to fold like it's paper in a book. just basically making sure we're all even here. Even layers around it with the dough. Because we're gonna stretch this and elongate this. Give it a moment to warm up. Our butter is still very, very solid. I don't want to pressure it too much. So right here, it's mostly dough. There's no butter in between here. You could fix this by cutting it, but I'm not gonna do that because it's so much room in there that if my butter does kind of spread out, it'll go towards the ends of the corners still. Plus, like I said, we're taking this and making it as long as this. Then we're gonna fold it like a book. That'll be the first fold. And then after you do that first fold, you're gonna place it into the refrigerator, covered for 20 minutes. And then we're gonna go on to the second fold after the first 20-minute rest time. But But just be patient in this stage right here. You rather your butter be this solid than to be flimsy and easy to roll, because then you've probably melted your butter into the dough and you're not going to get those beautiful layers you're looking for when the product is finished. And honestly, you won't see the layers either once you start to cut into and shape and form the croissants for baking. You're going to immediately know that you don't have those layers. So just be a little patient. As soon as you feel a little bit of pliableness, see we have a little bit of that there, but it's still really, really solid. I could tell like this is close to baking. And then see right here how light that color is compared to how deep this is. You could kind of almost see the butter. You want to be careful with that, because the more you start to roll it out and press it, the more the butter will seep through, and then now that's another indication that you're not going to get your layers, because your butter is coming through it already at the bottom and you haven't even started your folding. So lucky with the access, I can just push it in and kind of almost reform the dough around it again, give it more of a cushion. This is not by any means foolproof, because this is happening with mistakes. And you know, that's the best way to learn, is to make a bunch of mistakes so that you know what you did wrong when you finally get it right. And then you can write a cookbook. You know, you give people actual examples of what can go wrong, or how your horrible mistake somehow turned into a beautiful, almost nightmare. The side still is very like bloop bloop, but we don't have that little problem anymore. Let's see. This is kind of the best method to like push and pull, because you know that you've probably broken it up a little bit, right? But you're gonna re-laminate that butter back into a straight line once you roll. And this is really the feel of it. See how I gotta be really, really careful, because now I'm moving this. I've caused a break and it's kind of unevening itself. So I gotta be careful now, because I want all of this to be even. I need the butter to evenly distribute. Purposely kind of skipping this area because it definitely has gotten the most flattened, and we still have a bit that on this side, but it's okay because we still need to elongate this a lot more. Be careful, try to move slow so that you can control where that butter kind of wants to push to. You can see how it kind of wants to flatten. I don't want that. I want it to be straight. And it's totally fine to kind of pick it up and move it around. This lets you know, like, now I know right here, I shouldn't touch. I have like no butter here. Now I've got to MacGyver some butter into this section. Okay, so on this side, we got it real thin, a little too thin. But there's still a good thickness up here. So I feel good. I feel like we're still gonna get some layers. I honestly think it's all about the same. I'm gonna cut these ends because I'm just going to just want clean lines as I fold. I don't want to be worried about my lines. See how the butter kind of laminated already into here? I like just bloop, bloop, bloop these down. I don't know what noise that is, don't judge me. Pew, pew, pew. Pew, pew. So our butter is real soft in here. And like I said before, we don't really want that. But it's cool because now we're going to fold. We know that it's soft, but it's not going to do any more melting. So your first fold goes like this. You're going to pull this in halfway. Actually, I'm going to pull you back just a little bit. Pull this in, meet in the middle. Then you're taking this side and doing the same thing. Make sure that it is even. My little bushkas. Okay. Okay. Boom, boom, boom. You don't have to do this, I'm just doing this. All right, now here's the other part. You see how it kind of like that? It's the fold, and then last fold. Boom, we got a little book here. Isn't that cool? See, I got a little, I'm scared now. Look at my butter. You think it's gonna survive the next fold? I don't know. And some people like to do this, which is not what I'm about to do. I'm gonna do it just for the evenness because I started it, but that's it. All right, I'm gonna leave you like this because I want my butter not to melt in to the dough. I want it to be paper in between my dough. Now we're gonna wrap. We took water, eggs, butter, and yeast. Put it together with some water, and we made this. It's a dough. And if you don't know, we making croissants, yo. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay. The wraps. The wrap was done. It's done. See? The wrap's done. It's over. That part is over now. The scary bits is all over. I'm gonna put this in the refrigerator for 20 minutes. Take the rest of this dough and throw it away. I don't need it. To the left, to the left. Okay, dokie. I wonder if my coffee's still warm. If you feel like comment whether or not you think my coffee is still hot. I'm gonna wager that it's like warm enough to keep me drinking, but not hot enough to keep me going. Let's see. Yep. Warm enough to keep me going. I mean, warm enough to keep me drinking, but not hot enough to keep me going. my question is, do I continue to drink this? Knowing that it's like, look how full that is. But it ain't hot. I'm gonna have to warm that up. I don't like warming in the microwave because of mercury, so I'm gonna warm it in a pot. It both lets me control just my mercury intake. See, it's warm enough to keep me drinking, but not hot enough to keep me going. Nice and hot. Hey Alexa, give me a 20-minute timer.
20 minutes, starting now.
I forgot to put a 20-minute timer down. Hey Alexa, play Five Nights at Freddy theme song.
Five Nights at Freddy's theme, Minecraft instrumental of FNAF by DB Media from Spotify.
Alexa, up volume. I'm not trying to make this up for you. But you thought I could play piano. I can. That's all I know is these two chords. interested in playing Five Nights at Freddy's, but I do love the lore of it. Ever since my little brother was like, I don't even know how old, but when Five Nights at Freddy's came out, he was always trying to get me to play it. He was always trying to scare the shit out of me with it. But I had heard about it through YouTube grapevine. And I was like, no, get up out of here. Every time he tried to be like, okay, play this part of the game for me, please, please. I'd be like, no. As soon as I seen the dark room screen, I was like, no, I'm not doing that. But when the movie came out, it was, I'm gonna be real. Five Nights at Freddy, the movie, was pretty spectacular for it being one of kind of the first of its kind of movie, just being completely made up off of so many different other elements, like obviously the kid party pizza place, and then it being a video game that was off of that, turning all the way into the lore where kids died because one kid died in a horrible way. And it just picked up from so many different areas. So the storyline behind it was pretty awesome. But the actual movie storyline, now that sucked ass. That sucked ass. And I'll tell you, it honestly sucked ass because if you didn't pre-know Five Nights at Freddy lore, which I'm gonna be honest, I didn't. Even though my brother tried to get me to play the game and told me little different things, I never really fully paid attention to it. So when the movie came out and I watched the movie, I was like, this doesn't make any sense, this doesn't make any sense, we got a trifecta of bullshit happening here. And it also released during the actor strike, so I was like, here's even more reasons to why this movie, the writing of it sucked, because you have writers and actors on strike, and then a movie that was set to release at a specific time that needed that money, that moolah, and they weren't not going to release Five Nights at Freddy's. I mean, it was already just too huge for its own good by the time it was announced that it would become a movie. So, of course, they weren't going to let that strike fuck up what actors had already put work into. But it was fucked up because it was horribly written. Like, it started off seemingly good. I think they chose some really great actors, but then in the end, the storyline just had too many loose ends. Too many loose ends. In the beginning was too many loose ends. Like, one of the biggest things, I'm gonna like spoiler this because I can, and it was a spoiler for me. But okay, so one thing I didn't know about Five Nights at Freddy was not the little girl, but the other woman, which she ends up playing, anyway, it was the woman, I'm just gonna reveal it, the woman who plays the security guard. She had a bigger plot twist than they even gave her in that movie. They used the lower plot twist of her and they put her in the movie, but she didn't make any sense because her story was just too deep. It was like, you can't put someone who has literally the key to every door in only one scene. No, put her in like several scenes of the movie and leave her just as this just like halfway character, because that's how they put her. They put her like, she was like a background character, but low key, she was like almost the main character. And that's the spoiler of the lore for you, is that here's someone who in the movie they played out and they didn't give her a good storyline when the storyline was all hers. That's the crazy part. The storyline was really just all hers and they gave her no justice. We turned it into everybody else, which was cool that in that way, the way the movie went with the scare and the everybody else, and even bringing her in as lightweight as they did, it still came out good for how can I say this, like aesthetic wise, just to see and to see it played out, it came out really good. But the story, which was already the spectacular part, was what lost itself and it got trashed, which sucks. Really, really sucks for Five Nights at Freddy's deep fans because then they lose that. But for most of them, they didn't even care. They were just happy to have a movie and they were cool with watching YouTube lores. Like, there's another movie that I want to see. Hey Alexa, stop. There's another movie that I want to see. Attack on Titans. I want to see the live action of Attack on Titans. I have no idea what that's going to even really be like. I've seen clips of it on YouTube, but I've never watched it or looked deep for that movie because, like, you already know it's going to be some, not what you really want. But I'm just interested in seeing what they did with it, especially now that the manga is over. Yeah, that's another one that I'm interested in, is seeing how they fucked around with that lore. The lore of Attack on Titans, I'm about to spoil the out of it if you haven't watched it. It is so crazy. Like, 1, you have Mikasa, 2, you have Eren, 3, you have Armin, and the 3 of them just being so palpable in the show that they literally, the 3 of them drove everything. Awesome sauce. You don't even think that about like any of them. You know this about Eren. That character comes in immediately with I'm main character force. Like, he gives that. But with Mikasa and Armin, it was like anything could happen with them. Even with Mikasa being in the beginning, that she's very dedicated to Eren, but you don't really get the sense that she's gonna last forever, especially in a world where nothing is lasting forever and everything's turning on a dime. I really loved Attack on Titans. The whole series was like just fucking dope. Even with the longness of him taking to release all of it, I think I appreciate the fact that he took so long to do that because it was spoiled from day one. People hacked it and found out what everything was about. People read the manga. They came up with their own conclusions, and he had to fight and work through that. But we still got this great series put out, and man, it was mind-blowing, every piece of it. I feel like the very end of it, if you watch the very last episodes, which technically aren't the last episodes, there's spoiler alert again, if you actually finish the manga, either on Crunchyroll or on Netflix, once you finish the full manga, they will open up archive episodes, which is basically just extra episodes that he had wrote as like little side missions that happen throughout the whole series. So you get these like side episodes that reveal little pieces to things that were happening. And it's just kind of cute. It's kind of cool to know and to like just check out, because I was not expecting it. And I'm not gonna lie, I haven't seen all of them either. I have not watched all of them just because some of them were really like emotional. And I'm not gonna lie, Attack on Titans has always made me stupid emotional, because that's a real fight right there. That's like Dungeons and Dragons. It's like Game of Thrones, where there's a family, there's a house, and everybody is fighting for their mofo lives. Like, they gotta survive. And it is not gonna be an easy fight. Not about to hear on anybody's chinny chins, I tell you. Oh my God. I feel sad now because I want to like go and just dive in Attack on Titans, but I hate to spoil it for anybody who hasn't watched it. And, you know, there's so many great scenes and surprise scenes and jump scares that if I just spill one spoiler, like, for instance, Sasha. If you've seen this scene with Sasha, if you even hear the name, you know exactly what the F I'm talking about. That whole scene with Sasha, my God, that was writing gold. That was writing gold. I have to say, you weren't expecting it, you had no idea. And everybody had something to say. I remember when the Sasha episode premiered, and you went on the internet, you went on Twitter to see the amount of people who watched and their response to it. I think everybody was happy to not be alone. I was like, Sasha gave everybody a reason to know you are not alone. I am here with you. It gave everybody a reason to be Aaron too. I don't know the rest of the song. I low-key want to make like bacon and eggs, and then I don't want to make bacon and eggs. That's my dilemma right now. I want to eat a croissant, and if I make bacon and eggs before I make my croissant or have my croissant, because I want like bacon and eggs in my croissant. And yes, the croissants will be done today. So in about 4 hours, we will definitely have some beautiful, beautiful croissants. And you know what? I think I might switch over to playing the game on the game side. So stick with me. I'm gonna probably play Cooking Fever. So hang on, let me see if I give me a moment. Okay, so hold on. We're about to switch over. So refresh.